Obviously, we see her shooting, we see her passing, we see all that stuff on the floor, but a lot of that comes from a lot of hard work. She's in the gym almost all the time working on her game.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting to see as well.
Person that's got that cachet, that marketability, that could have been selfish, was selfless, and thought not just about herself, but everybody. And because...
Is Caitlin Clark going to have the best mentor in basketball history? The unexpected Indiana Fever. Rise may be on the verge of becoming even greater. Larry Bird may join the squad, according to reports, but what would it entail for? End of Christie's squad. What is Clark's opinion of it? It could have a significant effect on the Fever's chances of winning the championship as well as the WNBA overall. Before we go any further, I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to this video. More than 98% of people watch without subscribing, and we truly appreciate your support since it helps us expand. Now, returning to the story, it's absurd to consider that the Fever was hardly noticeable a short time ago. They weren't only having difficulties. We're at the bottom of the league.
Talk about greats in this game. You know, the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and the Steph Currys, like they are putting her in that category, the Diana Taurasi's.
Clark now has an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that will include her own signature shoe. The deal is the richest sponsorship contract for a women's...
The Fever were unable to even make it to the playoffs for 7 exhausting seasons. The stands were frequently only partially occupied, and the ambience within the arena seemed dead. While the Fever appeared to be mired in never-ending reconstruction, other teams saw Indiana as an easy victory. All of that changed as soon as Caitlin Clark showed up, with no clear direction. The Fever made advantage of their best choice to become the most well-known figure in college basketball, and all of a sudden, they were in the spotlight. All of a sudden, even those who had never given the Fever much thought were taking notice. Excitement is accompanied by pressure. Clark was a star at Iowa, and not just any potential. Known for nailing half-court shots and accumulating triple-doubles. As if it were unimportant. Could she maintain that level of dominance in the WNBA? Expectations were very high. Indiana wanted a player, not simply a decent rookie, who might alter the future. It was said that Clark was a generational talent who may save the franchise. And this is what's amazing about her. Has exceeded expectations, not merely lived up to the hype. Despite being a novice, Clark has demonstrated mastery of the game, giving a performance. When it counts, she consistently leads her team in points, assists, and rebounds like an experienced veteran. Her influence extends much beyond the box score. Every game seems like an event because Clark has brought excitement back to the Fever. Indiana basketball now has a new spirit because of her bold style, strong energy, and ability to bring her teammates together. Once ignored fans are now paying attention to the Fever. People who have never watched the WNBA are now keeping up with the games. Alongside Clark. Making basketball and Indiana must-watch entertainment is more important than merely winning. Once more.
College, I had teammates that were there with me for 4 years and were really comfortable playing with me. And then you come here and you have to learn your teammates in 2 weeks before you step on the court, and that can be really hard.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting.
Additionally, Clark's influence extends beyond basketball. He is also transforming the corporate world. Sales of season tickets have surged, increasing more than 400%. Sponsors are excited to support Caitlin and are lining up to be associated with her name. Clark effect, even if they don't completely understand why she's become so well known. The story is told in the arenas. Once empty seats are suddenly crowded with people, it's not just regular fans that fill them, either. Celebrities, influencers, and individuals who previously had no interest in women's basketball are now emerging, wishing to contribute to the fresh energy of the Fever on the court. Every possession feels alive, and Clark's intensity is electrifying. Moment she has the ball, but even when the game is over, she continues to have an impact. She has emerged as a voice in the team, whose presence may even influence choices regarding guidance and coaching. That returns us to the major. Imagine what would happen if Larry Bird entered this already tense environment. The Fever would be headed by one of the greatest, famous basketball players throughout history on paper, paired with the WNBA's most promising young star. It appears to be an ideal combo. Bird's qualifications are unparalleled. He won 3 NBA titles as a player, 3 MVP honors, and established a reputation as one of the most powerful forces in sports history. His career established a benchmark that few could reach, and he had an as significant impact as a coach with the Indiana Pacers. In addition to winning games, Bird made the team a serious contender in the Eastern Conference. His vision and leadership were beneficial. Maintain Indiana's basketball scene's respect and competitiveness, has a track record of forming rosters, making difficult decisions, and creating sustained success. The potential for the franchise would increase if he used the same skill to the Fever. Might be massive.
Obviously, we see her shooting, we see her passing, we see all that stuff on the floor, but a lot of that comes from a lot of hard work. She's in the gym almost all the time working on her game.
Like I said, she's a special player. She commands so much defensive attention. And I think that's one of the things that separates her in terms of winning.
Larry Bird has a long history with Indiana basketball. From his time as an Indiana State student to his years molding his impact has always been felt by Pacers. The hitch is that he has never worked in women's basketball. Only that fact. Coaching in the WNBA is different from coaching in the NBA, which raises critical considerations. The dynamics are distinct, the style of play is different, and experience has demonstrated that men's coaches don't always adapt well. In addition, WNBA supporters are fiercely devoted to and defensive of the league's culture. Thus, such a move would ignite both enthusiasm and doubt. The potential impact on Caitlin is what makes it particularly intriguing. Larry Bird might be a game-changing mentor to Clark. His expertise, background, and viewpoint would be priceless, as she develops not just as a player but also as the team's spokesperson and one of the biggest stars for Clark. It goes beyond simply improving one's abilities on the court. Additionally, it's about knowing how to manage the pressure of being a team's focal point and a public person bearing the responsibility of a league's future. Under Bird's direction, she may acquire an advantage that increases her power.
Rookie of the Month has only been around since 2010, but she's the first player ever to win Rookie of the Month and Player of the Month.
Person has got that cachet, that marketability, that could have been selfish, was selfless, and thought not just about herself, but everybody.
The key question is whether the strong personalities of Bird and Clark would work well together or conflict over vision and leadership. Bird's participation could change people's perceptions of women's basketball outside the court. His name alone makes headlines. Additionally, as the Fever is quickly becoming more than just a team, a cultural icon, the focus would only intensify. The stakes are really high. Caitlin is at the heart of it all. In addition to reviving the Fever, Clark has expanded the team's potential. WNBA. Her entrance sparked a wave of corporate partnerships, a 400% increase in ticket sales, and full arenas, currently totally changing the franchise. The idea of including Larry Bird elevates the standard even more. His legendary status has the potential to increase Clark's impact and advance women's basketball. However, the dynamic may also put the team's leadership balance to the test. This leads us to the larger picture. Is this the beginning of a new NBA Legends trend? Entering the WNBA and influencing its future? It's something to think about, and one that might permanently alter the sport. In order to recognize the progress that has been made, it's crucial to keep in mind where they used to be the Fever. The squad failed to even make the playoffs for 7 consecutive seasons. Fans were hardly present. Opponents thought Indiana would win easily, and the crowd felt empty. The team appeared to be mired in never-ending reconstruction with no obvious the way ahead. Then Caitlin Clark arrived. Everything changed instantly once the Fever used their first-round pick on her. The pressure was equally great as the enormous hype. Clark has a track record of dominating college basketball, shooting half-court shots with ease and dropping triple-doubles. The sole query was whether she could perform the same action in the WNBA. The question was whether Caitlin Clark could succeed in the WNBA after graduating from college. Expectations were extremely high, particularly for a franchise that is in dire need of a turnaround. The amazing thing is that she went above and beyond what was expected of her. Blue. With the elegance of an experienced veteran, Clark has dominated games past them. Even as a novice, when her team needed it most, she was the one making plays, scoring points, and collecting rebounds. However, her influence is not solely quantified. The Fever has been transformed into musty basketball by Clark. Her brilliant plays, unwavering enthusiasm, and innate capacity to bring teammates together have drawn in both seasoned WNBA fans and people who have never previously watched women's basketball, and the impact extends well beyond the floor. The franchise's commercial aspects is flourishing, with a 100% increase in season ticket sales. Money is flowing in from sponsors who are keen to join. The phenomenon of Clark.Reina's once half-empty eyes are now alive, even if they don't fully understand it. Fans are no longer the only ones occupying the seats. Influencers, celebrities, and novices in the sport are showing up. Her enthusiasm on the floor is infectious, and I want to be a part of the movement that Clark has built. And her impact on the club keeps growing. She's no longer just a standout player, she's a person who could potentially influence choices regarding guidance and coaching. This brings us back to the main query: what would happen if Larry Bird entered this environment? Imagine one of the biggest names in basketball history, Larry Bird, collaborating with Caitlin Clark, who, on paper, has already emerged as the WNBA's face. Experience and new skill seem to be a perfect fit. However, it is difficult to determine the consequences of this action. As a player, Larry Bird's record speaks for itself. He established the standard for domination in the sport and won 3 NBA titles and 3 MVP honors. Later, while serving as the Indiana Pacers, he demonstrated his abilities to lead both teams by transforming them into a legitimate contender in the Eastern Conference, both on and off the court. His ability to assemble squads and make astute strategic choices kept Indiana basketball relevant for many years. How would that work with Caitlin Clark, I wonder? Would their powerful personality complement one another, or might they conflict? Bird's engagement would be greater in terms of vision and leadership, compared to X's and O's. His mere name draws attention, and his presence has the potential to alter perceptions about women's basketball. Beyond the actual game, the Fever have already evolved into a cultural icon rather than just a squad. Clark is at the core of it all. She has not only changed the Fever but also increased what is conceivable for the whole league. Packed arenas, a surge in corporate interest, and a 400% increase in ticket sales were all brought about by her competition. That changed the team's identity. Women's basketball could reach new heights with Bird in the mix. His legacy might bolster Clark's increasing influence, but their collaboration could also put the leadership balance to the test inside the franchise. That raises a more significant query. Could this make it possible for additional NBA greats to play in the WNBA? This concept has the potential to drastically alter the league's future. Comment below with your comments. The tale of the Fever is only getting started. Starting.